we're all set.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jim Keogh. I am the new chair for the Historical Commission, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. First question out of the box is whether there are any additions or deletions to the agenda that we've all seen.
I don't have any, Jim.
Pardon me?
I don't have any.
Okay.
And just so you
So-
know, Jen, we can only see youth commissioner. We can't see you.
Oh, does it? So the camera's not moving when I talk? Hello,
No.
Roman. Oh, weird. It usually.
Yeah, it moved. You were in the frame and then it moved and then it stopped.
Oh, that's strange. Okay. Do you mind trying to get up and just walk around a little bit? It's supposed to follow. No.
It's not following.
Oh, I'm not trying to fix that. Okay, let me see if I can just physically position it.
Now we can't see either of you.
Either of us?
It's too zoomed in.
I wonder what happened to our little.
Oh, there it goes.
There we go.
There it goes.
There.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So just one more quick time, just to make sure everybody's had a moment. Any additions or deletions to the agenda that be suggested? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as we've gotten it.
So moved.
Second.
Any reservations in that regard? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sounds like we're in agreement.
You got to
So
make
for-
sure and ask for all opposed just in case.
Okay, anybody opposed?
And I need to remind the commissioners who are muted that when you vote, you have to actually unmute so we can hear you.
The other thing, you can do the, if you want to do the thumbs up, that works too.
So with the agenda approved, let's start with introductions and announcements. I know, Jen, you've got our new youth commissioner sitting with you.
Yes, would you like to introduce yourself first?
So I'm Janine Bermudez. I'm currently going to Timberline High School and I'm a senior, so I'm graduating this year. And I'm currently on the youth council.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. We're excited to have you.
Yes. What we talked about doing real quickly is just having everybody just briefly say hello and giving us their name. And then later on, when we do the commissioner reports, we can have people talk about either something they've been working on or something in the way of a background. So Jenny gets to know a little bit about each of us. So if that works for everybody, we'll start with that. My name again is Jim Keogh. I'm the chair for the Historical Commission.
Let's do commissioners first.
Jim, you can just call on people.
Okay, Alan. I have a few Alan's way. Talai, why don't you go ahead? And I know I heard you recently.
Hi, my name is Tulai Patane and welcome aboard.
Kimberly.
Sure. Hi, I'm Kimberly Getz here. Actually, I can't find the button. Sorry, I just came from the eye doctor and I'm a little blind. So if the words aren't really big, I'm having a hard time finding stuff. So hi, I'm Kimberly and welcome to the board. It's nice to have you.
Alan.
I'm Alan Tyler, one of the board members, and also welcome to the board.
Thank you.
And Kevin?
Kevin.
Hi, I'm Kevin Wyckoff.
So are there any other announcements to be made at the start here?
We'll just do staff real quick. So I'm Jen. I'm the Parks, Culture and Recreation
Okay.
Director for the department. And Erin?
I'm Erin Quindelcho. I'm the museum curator. Thanks for joining us. We're so glad you're here.
I'm Sarah Smith. I'm the executive assistant for the department, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And it looks like we have Lanny here, but she'll be coming up during the public section. So, thanks, Jim.
So any announcements that we need to make before we go into reviewing the minutes?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm assuming everybody's had a chance to look at the minutes. Are there any suggestions for amendments or addendums to those minutes? I don't have, doesn't sound like we have anything. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as delivered.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sounds like we're approved.
And Jim, just a reminder, you need to call for the motion, then ask for discussion. And
Okay,
then take a vote.
sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I know it's a lot.
I think it's just getting it in the pattern
Yep.
in order. So next section is the next item on the agenda is correspondence.
We don't have any.
That makes that easy. Calendar of events.
I just wanted to remind everyone that we have our next history talks coming up on November 9th, the day after Election Day, with former Historical Commission Chair Eric Ebel, and he'll be giving his history on the Pig War. And I think the camera really likes our youth commissioner because it just zoomed in on her again. Oh, that's my announcement.
Okay. Any other contributions for the calendar of events? If not, we'll move on to old business, and old business starts with the new museum project.
Usually it seems a little better. Okay, all right, so the item for the new museum project is to clarify the Historical Commission's role in the capital campaign. And this is actually for the project, and this is actually one of your work plan items for this year. So I thought it'd be great to show a couple of slides. You've seen these slides before, but this will just be, it'll look a little bit different. I added just a few things to help kind of clarify. And so let me just get this situated here. Can you guys see that? Great. Okay, so this is the Lacey Historical Commission role with the capital in regards to the capital campaign for the new Lacey Museum and Cultural Center. And so the role of the commission is support, advocacy, assisting with strategy, and ensuring consistent messaging. And so you've seen this slide before, and this is our funding sources graph. The total for the project is $17.7 million. That includes the properties that the museum and the depot are currently sitting on. You can see that 26% of that has already been paid for, and that's the 4.7 million. So that includes everything that's currently out of the site. And you can see that of this total, $3 million or 17% of the project has come from city funds. And so I went ahead and put the city logo up here just to kind of help you see who will be working on the different categories. And then you see here, this is a very large area that we've talked about before, where we will be able to pull in state and federal funding, and that's 60% of the project. And so this one will be worked on by the Lacey Community Foundation and the city. And I wanted to point out that anytime you see the city, that's where Lacey Historical Commission, would be supporting staff with these efforts and coming up with strategy to help with the project. This category obviously is the biggest one. And so this is where it's going to really take a village of the Community Foundation, the Historical Commission, helping to strategize and advocate, staff, our city council. We have the Park Foundation of Thurston County also advocating for this project and supporting the Lacey Foundation as well. And down here, you see the private and corporate foundations, which is estimated at 10% of the project. And that's something that the Lacey Community Foundation will focus on, because there are foundations that the city is not eligible for, but the Lacey Foundation is as a private nonprofit. And then over here, you see the next category, these are sponsorships and community partners. So you see the city's logo, so that's a city category, which means Historical Commission will have a bigger role in supporting and advocating and strategizing. And then next is the individual donations category, which the Community Foundation will be focusing on. And then here is other grants, and that's where city staff with the support of the Historical Commission will come in. And just to emphasize the consistent messaging, so it's really important that we all have the same messaging, no matter who we're talking to out in the community. And these are the talking points. So you'll want to just have this somewhere close so that you stay familiar with it as you're, again, having conversations. That this is a community place for culture, heritage, diversity, equity, and inclusion. That it is reaching climate initiatives through the LEED, Silver, and Salmon certification. And also it is a salmon safe infrastructure, so we're certified there. It is going to be a long-term economic driver for the city and the area. It has an emphasis on outdoor play and education on the site because of all the activities that can happen outside as well as inside. And then we want to highlight that there'll be a lot of local partnerships for the educational component for the inside. And that's North Thurston Public Schools, St. Martin's. Those are just a couple of examples. So with that, I'd be happy to answer questions that you have about the commission's role.
Any questions from any of the commissioners on that? Sounds rather quiet. I know I had a discussion with Jen about that earlier this week, kind of coming off of a presentation I did here a couple of weeks ago that used the fundraising slide that she showed us all, and kind of was curious myself what role we played versus some of the other parties that are involved in the community. So.
Well, appreciate it. And certainly if you have questions moving forward, I'm here.
So should we move on to the Lacey Depot and Food Truck Plaza?
Sure. Yeah, and I don't actually have a very extensive report out on that. It's just that there's still food being sold over at the plaza. And people are still using the restrooms over there. The building itself is locked for the season. We are going to be reviewing what those hours should be for next year. We may decide to put the hours of operation for the depot along the same schedule as our other park shelters, which would be April through October rather than May through September. So it'd be extending it 1 month on the early end and 1 month on the later end. And that matches up a little bit better with the food trucks that are out there. And now that we've had a couple of years to see how people use the building, I think that it seems like a pretty natural progression. So just my only update is if you haven't been over to visit the food trucks, they're still serving lunch and dinner over there, and spread the word. That's really all I have on that one.
Okay. Any questions? If not, we'll go ahead and move, I'm assuming, to Aaron for the recent acquisitions.
Yep. Let me share my screen. Just have a couple items up for consideration. Can you see that?
Yes.
No, I didn't pull that. We got 2 acquisitions. One is from the Friends of Lacey Timberland Library. They have given us their records to be their repository for. That was not a very grammatical sentence, but I think you get the idea. Anyway, so this just is a notebook of the last 3 years to add to their archives. And then I got a wonderful donation last week from Ed Eckley, who donated some yearbooks that his wife had from when she attended North Thurston High School, 1958 to 1961, and some reunion programs that go with the class of 90 or of 61. So that's a great addition to our yearbook collection. Those are them.
So Aaron, do I remember right? We have to vote to approve?
Yes, vote to approve and then ask for discussion.
So I would entertain a motion to approve those donations to our collection.
So moved.
Second.
And second,
I think too late.
oh, the two I say, okay. So any discussion? Hearing none. Everyone who is in favor, please vote aye.
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 Aye. Anybody who's not in favor? Sounds like we're good. Thank you, Aaron. The next item that we have a decision to make on, Sarah 30 Acre, unfortunately has ended up having to resign from the commission due to health reasons, which means since she was our vice chair, we need to nominate and elect a vice chair who will go through what, the December meeting? Is that right, Jen? So I guess I'm opening up discussion for anybody who might be interested or someone who might want to nominate someone else to be the vice chair for the next couple of meetings.
I guess I'm curious. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I'd be willing to volunteer for the next couple of meetings.
What was your question, Kevin?
I guess it'd be good. I guess I understand that the role of the chair is to lead the meeting, but I guess it might be good to discuss kind of what that role is as the vice chair.
Generally speaking, and Jen can correct me, the vice chair basically chairs the meeting in my absence. I'm hoping not to be absent the next couple of meetings, but you know, surprises can occur.
And I was gonna say, just in also out in the community, if there was something, there probably won't be much in the next couple of months, but in general, the vice chair would do that stuff if the chair wasn't available.
Any further questions, nominations? Hearing none, we have one volunteer so far. Alan said that he'd be willing to serve for the next couple of meetings. I'd entertain a motion to nominate Alan or to nominate anybody else you want to nominate.
So moved.
So Kimberly, you're nominating Alan. Any seconds?
I
I'll
second.
second.
Okay. Any other nominations or shall we consider nominations closed?
I'd do one more round of considering just to be sure.
Okay. So we have one nomination, Alan, for vice chair. Or is there anybody else who either wants to nominate themselves or nominate someone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve Alan as the vice chair for the next two meetings. Does anybody want to make that motion?
So moved.
And could I have a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alan, I think you're the vice chair.
You're not gonna miss any, so I don't have anything to worry about.
So with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the Parks, Culture, and Recreation Comprehensive Plan.
Right, well, thank you so much. So this is a work plan item and the something that will be worked on this year and next. And this is the guiding document for the Parks, Culture, and Recreation Department. And it represents, it is a guide and needs to be representative of what the strategic goals are for the department. It keeps us the goals, you know, in the forefront and indicates what we're working on, what the priorities are, and then it also keeps us eligible for grant funding. It is a 6-year plan requirement. It's a part of our overall city comprehensive plan. So it's one section out of that overreaching plan. So we are excited to be here. It doesn't happen very often. It is quite a large project, so you will see this several times, and one of which is tonight. We thought we could focus on one of the most important pieces of the plan tonight, and that is the vision and also the strategic goals of the plan. And so we want to make sure that the commission has input because you're obviously advocating for preservation and enhancement of history and museum and collections and artifacts. And so we want to make sure that you have a say in what goes into the plan. There's a lot of other commissions involved in this plan and also city staff that will be working on it. And so it will actually go through, it's gone through the park board. We just started with the park board, much like we are the historical commission. It'll go through the commission on equity and also the planning commission before it makes its way to city council next August. So it sounds far away, but August is right around the corner. So we are going to give you an update on some of the public outreach that we've done. There's obviously one of the really important pieces of a comprehensive plan is getting the public's input and their insights on this plan. You'll need to bear with it a little bit. So when we did the outreach, so Sarah's actually going to show the results of the public outreach. But one thing I wanted to note before she does that, and before we get into the strategic goals, that when we did, so we've been doing public outreach for a couple of years now. So in 2021, we did Lacey Cares outreach. We did have a consultant who helped us with that. And out of that work, we got insights and recommendations moving forward. And what the recommendation was to take those, take what we heard the first time around and then also go back out. So that's what we've been working on this year in 2022 to confirm the priorities that the public had told us. So that's what Sarah's actually going to show you because we took the top themes and then went back out to the public to confirm priorities. Now, the Lacey Museum, the Future Museum and Cultural Center, and the Lacey Depot were not included on the survey because the questions were all around, you know, what's next? What does Lacey look like in the future? And these items, I mean, the Lacey Depot is already built. The Museum and Cultural Center is underway, and we currently do have the Lacey Museum. So really a lot of the outreach was focused on items that Lacey doesn't have currently, that the public might want. And so, but I do want to point out that on one of the slides, and Sarah will show you this, but the facilities of the, you know, the current museum, the future museum, and also the depot will be very instrumental in hosting, you know, classes, cultural events, and music performances. And that's some of the things that the public told us that they want to see. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sarah.
Awesome. All right. So let me go ahead and get my screen shared here. Okay. So for the Energize Lacey, our survey that we had reaching out to the community, we had a total of 685 responses. Give me just a moment. Okay. So our indoor recreation opportunities, people selected which ones were important to them. This was the result that we got back from the community. And when we asked people to pick one, overwhelmingly picked a pool, followed very closely by indoor sport court and indoor playground. Question 3, we asked about spray park. Southwest Lacey and Northeast Lacey were the two most popular. And which future components of Greg Cuyo Park are you the most excited about? Greg Cuyo Park is the large 537-acre complex that I believe we've talked about in some of these meetings before. And when we asked people to select all that they were interested in, this is what they came back to us with. And we had them select one. And this is what we were able to get back from the community. Priority of preservation of outdoor spaces. And then this is where a lot of the cultural center comes in. So we asked the community about what kinds of classes they wanted to see, cooking, crafting, and art. They were all very close. And then when we requested people select one, they overwhelmingly chose cooking classes, followed closely by crafting classes. And this was a word cloud that we had for people, asking them about the things that they use the most and the things that they make the most use of in the community. And this is what we got back. I just put it in a word cloud because it was all free form answers. So I figured the easiest way to get this information visual would be to put it in a word cloud. And then we had Lacey recreation fees ever being a barrier to your family's participation in a program. This was geared at people who use the scholarship program that we offer through Parks, Culture, and Recreation. Most people said no, but we did get some yeses and none of the above. And asking people where they found the most barriers to financially, this is what they came back with. Again, it was a free form answer. So I went ahead and I just put it into a word cloud so we get a better visualization of what it looks like. Question 11. So our sports questions, we're still working with our sports users to get more information. Their sports users got requested kind of late for their inputs. We're still giving them some more time. We've got a little bit more turnaround and some more information we're going to be getting from those groups in order to get more detailed answers on sports fields. But this is what we were able to come back with what we have so far. So access to sports fields, where would you most likely book? It's fairly even, roughly, I'd say, between Rainier Vista, the RAC, all of the above and none of the above. And then what uses do people book the fields for? A lot of it was soccer, and we're still trying to get more accurate data on this, especially reaching out late to some of our sports users. So this data may change in the future. And then asking about denial for field use. This is another one that we really want to focus on our sports users. This question out to everyone. So it's going to be a little bit different next time we take a look at this information. And then what people use sports, the sports fields for. This is another word cloud, another free form answer. Just kind of gives us an idea. Overwhelmingly pickleball dominated everything. And then we got some of our survey demographic information. So the respondents that did take the survey, we wanted to get an idea of what communities we were reaching. And we checked out ages and age ranges for the community. We reviewed gender for respondents, and all of this was optional. So anyone who answered it was optional for them to provide this information. And then we checked in with race and ethnicity. And that's all the information that we came back with from our outreach, which was pretty cool. It went on through the summer all the way up until the end of September. So it's very fresh data, and some of it will change, like I said, with the sports user groups. We'll get some more information from them.
Thank you, Sarah. Any questions about the outreach?
How many people would you say currently have participating, ballpark, in various programs, et cetera, with the parks?
Oh gosh, so I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. So, I mean, if it's drop-in use at parks, it is, for the RAC alone, it's 1.2 million per year. And so we actually don't have a count for the other, we don't have an exact count for the other ones. The RAC, we do have staff there, so it's easier for us to estimate what the attendance is. So I mean, millions and millions of visitors as far as like a park, the 1,200 acres of the park system, right? But then with regard to our programs, I think we do roughly like 15,000 registrations. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna have to get you that information. Am I frozen? Jim, I can get you that. I can get you the information.
Yeah, I was just curious, just in terms of the kind of general level of participation. I mean,
We have it. I just don't have it right here at my fingertips. And so I don't want to tell you the wrong information.
okay.
So
Yeah, I mean, we see a lot of people at Rainier Vista on Saturdays when we go see our grandkids games. So
yeah. And so it's, we offer, I can tell you, we offer about 1,100 programs or activities per year, and that's between sports, aquatics, museum programs, all the different types of programs that we offer, aquatics. And then we have, 15 events per year, give or take. And the largest one attendance wise is up to 20,000 people for the 3rd of July event. And we do roughly the same amount of people over the 2 days of Lacey Spring Fun Fair. So those are some of our biggest events. We typically get between 3,000 and 5,000 for cultural celebration. But for the programmatic registration numbers, I'd have to grab that. We do have it. I just don't have it right here in front of me. So we'll bring that back. We'll bring that back next time. Probably our annual report is the best way to grab that at a glance. So next I was going to move on to the vision and strategic goals. And so you'll note that this is a starred item. So this is an actionable item. However, if you're not ready to take action tonight, you can consider what we talk about and bring back suggestions. So I'm going to leave that up to the board. I just don't want you to feel rushed because this is, a very important comprehensive plan. Let me share my screen here. Can you all see this?
yes.
Okay. So the first thing I want to do is encourage you to take a look at the whole plan. This is a homework assignment. And actually, Sarah, if you could email this link to the full commission, it would be good before the next meeting, which would be the next time we talk about the comprehensive plan, if you kind of just get a sense of the whole thing. It is really long. It's 100 pages, but you could, probably skim through the parts that aren't as applicable to historic preservation. But what's going to be really important is to get your lens on the entire plan. We are in the process of making updates, but I'd like you to take a look at the last one, which is from 2017. Again, just to get a sense of what it says and what the content is. So that being said, I wanted to focus on some of the main portions. Like I said, I thought it was important for the City of Lacey mission to be up here. So our mission is to enrich the quality of life in Lacey for all our citizens, to build an attractive, inviting, and secure community. We pledge to work in partnership with our residents to foster community pride, to develop a vibrant, diversified economy, to plan for the future, and to preserve and enhance the natural beauty of our environment. So this isn't something that the commission will be looking at changing. This is the entire city mission, but I thought just for context, it's good to have it on here. What I would like to get your input though is changing the Parks, Culture, and Recreation vision. It's very long, and so I have noted here, this is the old one. And while it does have a lot of good information in it, I don't think it's necessary to outline it in this much detail on the very first page of the strategic plan, because we do get into some of these things with the strategic goals. So what I am suggesting is that our new department vision be Lacey Parks, Culture, and Recreation creates exceptional events, experiences, and environments that delight, educate, and inspire the human spirit, connecting people and building a strong, healthy community. So I'd love for you to do as commissioners is just to see if in your mind, if the Historical Commission and the work that you do is captured in this vision. And if not, what your suggestions for edits would be. And so I'll pause there and let you share thoughts. And this is where also I want you to have time to consider it. And so we can bring this back to you at the next meeting if you like. Okay, so not hearing any, onto the strategic goals. So the items in red have been changed from the last time around. So when you do take a peek at that 2017 plan, you'll see that there are some differences. And so for goal number 1, we added, so one of the things we're doing is making sure that diversity, equity, and inclusion is considered. And so the Commission on Equity is going to be reviewing this wording as well. But I got some of the wording from their strategic plan that they're working on. So we added equitable to developing a high quality, diversified parks. We added culture and recreation system. And also this is pretty obvious, but the museum and historic preservation is captured, we consider it captured at a high level under the word culture, because, you know, history and heritage is included in culture. And then we added where physical, financial, and social barriers to use are eliminated. That was something else from the DEI strategic plan that includes unique facilities, events, recreation, and cultural. We added cultural in that encourage social interaction, cultivate community spirit, strengthen the livability of Lacey, and meet community needs. And then goal number 2, what I did is I took, you'll see that I removed, or excuse me, down here at the bottom, it says combined, we used to have a goal that was leverage investment in parks, recreation, and facilities and maintain Lacey's eligibility for grant funding. And since we already had a goal that was around funding, we just added that wording to goal number 2. So it says prioritize parks, culture, and recreation projects and facilities, identify corresponding current and future funding sources, leverage investments and partnerships, and maintain Lacey's eligibility for grant funding. Number 3, there weren't any changes made. It talks about the trail system. 4, this one is one that you'll want to pay special attention to. Preserve and enhance sites and artifacts of historical and cultural importance and make them accessible to the community. And then number 5, we added utilize sustainable systems and practices that ensure the environmental, economic, social, and cultural needs and desires of future generations will not be compromised. And what it used to say is provide parks, facilities, and programs to underserved areas and or natural areas that should be preserved. But it was redundant after we added the wording to goal number 1 and also the meeting the community need, or excuse me, the sustainability in number 5. So these are 1 through 5. We went from 7 strategic goals down to 5, made them more succinct and added some, like I said, some DEI language. So would love to get your thoughts in particular goal number 4.
Jen, I know culture implies, you know, heritage, but I think I'd like to see the word heritage thrown in there someplace.
Let's see. Do you think it should go under goal number 4?
Just any place that would be appropriate. Like I said, it kind of speaks to the, you know, the past a little bit more than just culture.
Okay.
Just an idea.
Thank you.
I think I'm in agreement, and I can help wordsmith that a little bit to zhuzh it up a bit.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts? And I know that this is a lot. So you know, if you don't have a lot of thoughts right now, I don't know it sounds like we're gonna finesse it a little bit with that heritage word. So it sounds like we probably won't be ready for an action tonight. But if you wanna go ahead and take a peek at the 2017 plan, like I said, Sarah will email you the link for that. And then this wording is in your packet, your current packet. And it just looks a little bit different, but it's in there with the track changes in your packet. So, so yeah, if you know, Jim, if you're in agreement to just go ahead and for the board to take a look and consider.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay. That sounds good. And so next time we'll bring this back and we'll also bring the updated draft of the plan, and it won't be in its entirety. We're gonna have to take it in chunks because it is sizable. So.
Okay. And
So
Jen, what's your
oh, go ahead.
Jen, what's your timeline again for ultimately getting all this done?
Yeah, so thank you. That's the very next bullet point. And so it is ultimately the goal is to get it approved by City Council in August. They do plan updates and approvals every year in August. And so we'll stay on track with that. Prior to it going to council, it needs to go through the Planning Commission. And prior to that, as I mentioned before, it will go to the Commission on Equity a couple times. It'll come to you all a couple of times and through the Park Board as well.
Okay. So working our way backward on that, just trying to think about when we will probably be done with our primary investment in that or involvement in that process.
Yeah, so I'm hoping by, let's see, you'll need a couple meetings. Maybe by February.
Okay.
Sarah's got a nice timeline for us, but we actually are running just a little bit behind. So before I give a specific date, I need her and I to kind of finesse the schedule a little bit.
Okay.
But I will be at the Commission on Equity in a couple of weeks here on October 24th.
Okay.
The same conversation around the vision and the strategic goals. So I'll know more from them coming back to you next time too.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if you're ready, then we'll move on to work plan review for 2022.
Yeah, sounds good. Erin is going to share the screen and she's actually going to make updates as we go along. So thank you, Erin. So this is your 2022 work plan. As you see up here, you did approve it back in November of last year, and it was revised August 17th of 2022. And so the intent for tonight is to make any updates, answer any questions, and also have the board start thinking about the 2023 work plan, which will be on next month's agenda. So with that, let's just start at the top here. The ones that are completed, I'm not going to touch on unless you have questions. The number 2 there, determining the Historical Commission's role in the capital campaign. We covered that one tonight. So we can mark that as complete. Promote, so under Lacey Museum, we have a different category here, promote the museum to build a network of supporting patrons who love history and the museum. This one's ongoing. Volunteer docents as needed, assisting staff with programming. Do you want to put as needed on that one too, Erin?
Oh, yeah.
Lacey Depot, you participated in the grand opening event. And then, let's see. Thank you, Erin. Oh, this one. Okay, we started to enlist Sarah's help with this, but then we had to juggle priorities there. So this one will be carried over to your 2023 work plan. Because it's super important. It's a very large project. Looks like the Chambers Ferry cabin is completed and Lanny will be presenting findings.
Yeah, she can maybe speak on when she would like to do that, but she let me know after the last time we reviewed this that they had finished their work on that.
Awesome. Under the grants category, so Erin and I went through and updated this particular work plan, and then moving forward, we have a note there at the top of this section that says we'll only be including the grants that we're planning to apply for. So in the past, they've kind of been listed out the ones that we could apply for, but what we'd like to do, and particularly because we are working so heavily on the new museum and cultural center project, we want to only list the ones that we will be looking for support from the board in applying for, instead of just a master list. Are there any questions about that? Okay, great. I think that will be a really helpful change. Historic properties.
How much does it typically cost to identify properties to do the work necessary?
I'm not entirely sure. I would need to talk to a consultant who does this work, how long it normally takes, and what their fee is.
So this is one that would likely be on your next work plan. Commission of Tribal Relations. If the board, if the board would like to move that one forward to next year, that would be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
The rec kiosk, Jim, as you know, is in process. And that one, so we could probably change it to 2023 for the target completion, right?
I would be shocked if it was done by the end of this year.
And we're gonna start hitting weather, so.
Yep.
And then certainly the one that we just discussed tonight would move forward to 2023. So, yeah, are there any questions about the 2022 work plan or other updates?
One other question that I had, going down to the tribal relations portion, what types of events? Well, I guess I'm not sure how often the tribal council has meetings, and I'm not sure how frequently tribal community events are held. And, what kind of lead time, like if we were trying to attend those, or if somebody's interested in attending those, kind of how we get some hint of when that would be possible.
So they keep a pretty good calendar on their website, which is how we have identified things to attend in the past.
Okay.
We just kind of got, COVID blocked. And
Well,
I haven't
yeah,
checked
COVID's made a
recently.
mess of a lot of things.
Yeah, I haven't checked recently to see where they're at on public, because they've had a lot of stuff closed to the public because of that.
Right. Okay. And my second question that is COVID related to that, is up on the scale here, where you talk about having commissioners and others be involved in being docents, et cetera, with the museum. And again, I'm not quite sure where we're at on need in that regard.
So that's just been on there. Usually I appeal to the commission if we have a big need. And we're doing okay right now. But yeah, so that's why it says as needed.
Okay,
It used to be a lot more important when I didn't have any staff, because I needed help if I was gonna take time off.
right. Okay. So that's, at this point, that's an as-needed item?
Right. Unless somebody just has like a burning desire to work at the museum. I'm always taking volunteer applications, but yeah, I would let people know if I had a need.
Okay,
And I would certainly recommend all commissioners stop by at some point.
Yeah,
Especially
for sure.
to check it out, so.
okay. Those are the clarification questions I had. Anybody else have questions or comments?
Okay, well, thank you.
And do we need to approve those here at some point before the end of the year? Is that, or is the report pretty much what we just cover?
I feel like we should approve the final one. I don't know that we need to do it
Okay.
now.
We can do that in, for instance, in December.
Yeah, we can do that and the accomplishments like at the same time.
Okay,
And on that note, Erin's gonna
Yes, I am.
pull up the accomplishments. And actually, while she's doing that, Sarah, if you could find our 2021 annual report, and we'll share that during the director's report.
All right. So I included in your packet a draft of the accomplishments document. Can everybody see that fine? Sorry, I'm resizing it. Okay. The main, since we won't have final information for everything until the end of the year, we won't approve this probably until our January meeting, but I like to get it something that you're thinking about, so that I can make sure that I'm including everything, because I often have museum tunnel vision and I forget sometimes what individual commissioners have done. And I want to make sure that you feel like all of the things you have done are included, because this does go to the council. So I will just go through it. It's designed to be in the order that the work plan is. So we start with the museum project and talk about phase 3 having been completed. Items in red are things that I plan to revisit before the end of the year, because like this, a no further action likely notice was received, and I'm hoping that I can change it to say a no further action notice was received. And then we did the cultural resources survey this year. It was finished this year. It was started last year. And I just kind of talk about a summary of what they determined, and that the Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation agreed with that finding. And then for the depot, I mentioned the grand opening, which took place in May, and the food truck plaza, and depot rentals, the revenue that they provided. Looks like I have some formatting issues to fix too. The Lacey History Month was celebrated in May, and we awarded Seth Huff the Historian of the Year award. And then the museum section is basically like a summary of what was on my monthly reports combined. So all of this will require some updates through the end of the year, but it includes like attendance and participants at the speakers series. And I will be giving you all an annual report with everything as well. We reviewed the strategic plan at the beginning of the year. We launched a new website. I don't know why, but every year I'm like totally astonished at what we got done because it always feels like we're like struggling to keep up. We are working on 2 grants this year, the Thurston County Heritage Grant and the Heritage Capital Projects Grant. So I'm providing an update on where we're at for this, and this should be read because that needs to be updated as well. And then regarding historic properties, I just am going to put a little report out about the Bowker House renovation being finished. And the rack interpretive kiosk, I particularly wanted to know, Jim, if you wanted anything specifically in here for that.
Not just yet. I was going to
Okay.
say that I wrote text for 2 panels, but I saw something that was written when I was at the Heritage presentation I frankly liked better than my write-up. And so I was going to talk to them about that, whether they might want to just use that one. Maybe I had a couple of things that I might have added to it, but it was, I thought, a pretty good write-up.
Okay. And then I always just mention who's come and who's gone on the commission. And then mentioned our expiration term expiration dates that were updated. I can talk for real. And then included our Jackson Goose Pond historic marker work.
I want to add that
Yeah.
Sarah 30 acre left as well.
Oh, I thought that was in here. Oh yeah, I wrote this before she left. Okay,
So we don't forget later.
thank you. So does anybody have anything else that I should include or change or what have you?
You could probably add that we were represented at the Heritage Commission session this last,
Oh, at Heritage Day?
yeah.
Okay.
They, by the way, had about 50 people in attendance, which was surprisingly good attendance.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a couple minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, we probably won't look at this again until the final version is ready. So yeah. Let me know. Anybody can let me know if they have anything they would like to change.
Thank you, Erin. You may not have noticed this about Erin. She's a great record keeper.
I might be a little obsessive.
I think that's all for E. Would you like me to move on to F? You ready to move on, Jim?
I think so.
All right, so this one, I'm so excited to talk about the Jackson Goose Pond marker dedication debrief. So this event was a huge success. I want to thank Chair Keough for being there. I want to thank Erin for all of her hard work in making sure that we got the intern. She did apply for the through the Washington State Historical Society to get the intern, Fulton, who just did a marvelous job on this project and meeting with Nat and Dr. Thelma Jackson to get all the information. And it just, you know, the project and also the event just turned out to be such a wonderful celebration of their contributions to the community. There was a beautiful piece of artwork that was made by artist Jennifer Coons, and that's hanging in the community center. And so we were able to unveil the artwork. And then we walked over to the point on the Karen Fraser Woodland Trail where the historic marker now sits near their home next to Goose Pond. And It was just a wonderful evening, and I'm just so grateful and happy that it turned out the way it did. And I'd love it if anybody else who's there wants to share thoughts.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I heard from Thelma afterwards, and she was just so pleased about how it turned out, and they really appreciated what the city did. And I heard from Fulton that he'd heard from them as well about it. And we're making plans for him to come out and look at his work in reality. So it was really great.
Yeah, we had a pretty healthy attendance at that as well. There was what?
Yeah, I'd say there were like 50 people there.
I'd say at least that many. I
Yeah.
think I counted more than that.
Yeah, we had, let's see, so what, like about 10 tables with 8
Mhm.
seats, but not every seat was taken, but yeah, probably, I would say it was probably more like 70.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So it was, yeah, it was great. So, that's all I had on that one.
So the Heritage Day debrief, I guess I'm on point for that since I was there.
Yeah.
So that was held out at the in Heritage Hall at Thurston County Fairgrounds on October 8th. And we ended up having presentations by 7 different groups. Everything from Thelma Jackson gave a presentation there to the Bigelow House Museum, Northwest Playwrights, the Third 30, which does oral histories, the South Sound Maritime Association, which sponsors Harbor Days, the Olympia Film Society, Evergreen has a group called, coming out of one of their classes called the Olympia's Hidden Histories, and a presentation from a group called the Old Brewhouse Foundation, of course, talking about the Old Brewhouse in Tumwater. So good set of presentations, tables by everybody around with brochures and that type of thing. And about 50 people or so there would be my best gauge. And then they, of course, had a celebration because it's Thurston County's birthday celebration. I think it's 170 years, if my memory is correct. And which meant we got Seahawk cupcakes. So anyway, it went very well. It went from basically 10 to about 1 o'clock. I did a presentation on the museum, primarily talk some about what our work is, but especially focus on the museum and its progress, and thank the Heritage, thank them for the Heritage Foundation donations that we've gotten over the years and what we've done, talked about what we've done with those. Generally speaking, I thought it was a pretty good evening, or evening after Saturday morning. I'm sorry.
Great. I'm glad to hear it was successful.
Yeah, we had some good comments, and I think it was good to give people an update on the museum in particular, and kind of where we're going with in that regard. So with that, I think we'll move on to ad hoc committee reports. I'm suspecting that we don't have much in report in either one. Sarah 30acre was the chair for the policy one, correct?
No, Kim
No,
is the one.
she was
for the-
archaeology. Okay.
I actually haven't talked to Jen about this, but I was wondering if maybe we should consider disbanding the archaeology committee since that work has been done.
Yeah.
So if we did that, it would take a motion,
Right.
but
So-
people can talk about it or think about it or whatever.
Okay. I have an idea for, and as far as the policy committee goes,
The policy committee is still on hiatus.
okay.
But it has work yet to do. It's just, we haven't had time to do it.
So remind me what the archaeology committee's mission was.
Well, I think their purpose was to advocate for the preservation of potential archaeology sites in Lacey. In particular, it came up because of the museum construction,
Okay.
being on a historical site and wanting to be sure we're doing our due diligence. That's kind of where that came out of, and that portion of the work is done.
So are there currently any other active sites right now that would fit the archaeology label?
No, there are potential maybe sites. I've had people suggest to me that perhaps the Jacob Smith House property has some potential there, but I went out there and I didn't see anything, but that doesn't mean anything either.
And there's no project that would be ground disturbing at the
Right.
Jacobs House currently. There is, I mean, we do have the, we're actually just getting started on a cultural resources survey for the Great Cuyo Park Phase 1A project. But we are following, you know, all of the protocol. I don't know if that's something that the board wants to consider. It's not a historic property site, but it is a park site. So why don't we noodle on that one?
So do we want to take that up in this meeting, or do we want to bring that around the next meeting as a potential decision?
Why don't we think about it?
Okay. So make that a future agenda question. Okay. So with that, it looks like Lanny's still here. We could move on to public comment.
All right, I'm unmuted. Hello.
Hi, Lanny.
Okay, very quickly, we received a bunch of the Thurston historical journals to pass out to our membership, which we usually do at our annual meeting, but our annual meeting was postponed, hopefully for the fourth and last time. So I have piles and piles of the Thurston historical journals in my house. And I decided this is part of what our membership gets, our members get as part of their membership. And so I decided that I would take the journals to our members. And the first one I went to give journals to was a woman named Myrna Conine. And she's keeping them religiously in order and everything. But what was fun was that I talked to her, and she had copies of, she had photographs that belonged to a friend of hers. And they are of horses that used to race at the racetrack. And I had my iPad with me and made some copies of the photographs. I have sent them off to Erin, and Erin and I are getting together tomorrow to go over them. And in addition to that, she had a small artifact that came from the Evergreen Ballroom. And she gave it to me, and she said, well, I don't know what to do with this. And I said, well, I suggest you donate it to the museum. So that is going to be in Erin's hands tomorrow. One other thing to report, in the paper not that a few days ago was an obituary for Ron Turner. And Ron Turner was the son of the people who had the Turner store, which was originally the Foy store. So it's the building that's on the corner of Pacific and Lacey. Just for that information. And that's about it.
Have you rescheduled the annual meeting?
No, yes, we have, but it's like not till next year.
Oh, okay.
Not till next fall. And it's the thing with the annual meeting, we can't cancel it because we have to hold one as part of it. And so all of that was taken care of through our newsletter that we sent out. And the people voted and sent in votes, and that took care of that requirement. So hopefully it'll work next year. Okay. So, oh, what time tomorrow, Erin, would be good?
Anytime between 11 and 3, honestly.
Oh, okay. I will see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
So Sarah, do we have any other members of the public here?
We do not know.
Okay, so seems like we can move on to reports. We'll have Erin report first.
Yeah. So we had 67 visitors last month, which was really like a banner year for September. I think that's the highest we have ever had a September. The increase was mostly attributed to 24 people coming on group tours. I did solve a mystery that we had. I could not understand why people were still coming for Sasquatch. That was in 2019, y'all. Apparently, someone brought me in a brochure that Experience Olympia had put together that says we have Sasquatch for the 22-23 year, and it's in all the hotels.
Did you call them?
I need to. It's on my list. I haven't done it yet. But yeah, they're not going to be able to stop it. The brochure that's for 22-23. I mean, that's done. I'm just like, really? At least it explains the craziness, because people kept coming, like really expecting it. I'm like, where are you getting this from? We had a very slow month for customer service requests, but we got 2 new largish ones, one really big one right at the beginning of this month for probably close to 300 photos. So that's going to be keeping me busy. Let's see what else. We had our first history talk of the season that was virtual, and we had 18 people. And I normally don't report on this month's, but we did have our first hybrid one this month, which was decent. We had 8 people in person, and I think we had 23 people online. So we're gonna definitely try it for a couple more months and see how it goes. There definitely is a different vibe when there are people in person, and it is really nice. So so we'll see how that goes. And then an update on the hiring for the museum coordinator. That job got posted just over a week ago. It'll be open for 3 full weeks. We haven't gotten a ton of candidates. We kind of have, the job market. I wasn't sure what was going to happen because the museum world is highly competitive, but I also know that a lot of museum people left the field during COVID. So I wasn't sure how that was going to go, but really the quantity of people doesn't matter. It matters the quality. So hopefully we'll get some good candidates. I expect that we will be doing, my interview committee has been waiting for me to tell them more information, but I finally just heard from HR today that the new hiring schedule is going to work. So I expect interviews will be 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, and the second round will probably be the week after the week before Thanksgiving and the week after Thanksgiving. Depending on some things. But anyway, that's kind of where we're at with that. That's all I got.
Any questions for Erin? Now we'll move on to commissioner reports. And as I noted before, it'd be nice if people could give Janine, our new youth commissioner, a quick commentary either on something you've been doing or part of why you're on the historic commission, what you're interested in, that type of thing. We don't want to go real long, but it'd be nice so she at least gets some feel for who's here.
It might be nice for her to see your face too.
If you have a camera, flick it on for the moment. with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to work my way around my screen. So Alan, if you could start us off.
Okay, I just had a couple thoughts. One was, I really appreciate the hard work that's been put into the strategic plan. I know that's a real daunting task, and I appreciate what's been done with it. The other thought I had was, at some point, are we going to have a representative on the foundation board, Jen?
So, yeah, so the Lacey Foundation, they are, we won't necessarily, the commission won't serve on the foundation board, I guess, unless you're interested in doing that. That would be up to you. We will have the Lacey Foundation at some point, hopefully in the very near future, come to one of your meetings and introduce.
And I know from an earlier conversation that I've had with Jen that they're in the midst of, for instance, working on getting an executive director and that type of thing. So that'll start to make it a more formal organization.
Yeah, they have a very small board right now, but yes, as Jim said, they're looking for someone to really take the lead. So, but I guess what you do on your with your private time, I guess you could probably serve on the foundation board if you're interested. So that could be a conversation. But
All right,
we won't have an official member of the historical commission on their board, if that's what you're asking.
So, so Jen, are you looking for, if people have leads for people who might serve on the foundation board, is that something you're looking for as well?
Yes. And I think Commissioner Tyler told me to give them his number before, right?
Sure, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And then I guess I've been taking advantage of the great weather, and I feel like a squirrel running around getting all my nuts all lined up for the winter. So that's what I've been mostly busy with.
So Tulai, did I say that right?
Yes.
If you could just give us either something you've been working on or a little bit of background, that would be terrific.
So I had showed a lot of interest in serving on the board because you know, Lacey is a good place to live and to raise your children and a family. And I am very much involved with and to sit on different boards. However, this was a goal of mine to serve the community by joining this board. It's good to see that we have a youth member now, because it's always a good idea to get views from the younger generation.
Thank you. Kimberly.
Sure. Hi. I hope it's not too dark for you to be able to see me. I think sorry about that. No treat. Go lay down. Sorry, it's that time of the day. And I put in for the board just because I'm a big supporter of the museum and really want to make sure that it turns out to be the best project that we can make it. That's really my goal. And I guess my background for the reason, part of the reason that I'm been on some of the various roles that I've been on is that I work for Department of Ecology. So salmon safe, no further action letters, that's kind of me. And I'm going to turn the microphone off now so that the dog with her little talking buttons does not entertain you all even more.
Thanks, Kimberly. Kevin,
No, no toothbrush. No, go lay down.
Yeah, hi. I'm Kevin Wyckoff. I'm new to the board. My day job, I work for Lakewood Water. I guess the short answer of what I do there is I work with the mapping and a lot of the kind of IT stuff there. But a lot of my work there is to do with just kind of understanding the location of buried pipes and stuff like that. But the technology has a lot of really cool things you can do to just kind of understand different areas. And as I've lived in Lacey the last 2 years now, so I'm just wanted to get involved with the community and find new exciting projects to get involved in. So thanks.
thank you. I think that's everybody around the circle. So I'll go ahead and give my report. Primary things I've already talked about Heritage Day in this last month. And I've been working on the Lacey Leader Project, which is going through and cataloging the photos that were donated to us from the Lacey Leader, which was a newspaper that ran in Lacey from 1967 to 1981. So a huge volume of photos. There's about 57,000 of them. Obviously, I've not done all the cataloging. We've had a lot of people working on it, but I do go in once a week and work on those for a while. Part of what I find really interesting in history is not merely facts and details in that level, but story. So I'm always looking for linkages between pieces. So when I'm, for instance, cataloging, I'm looking at, can I identify people we haven't picked up on yet, something in the background that shows something about what was existent in the community at that time, whether it's an old Firestone sign or something else. And kind of come at that from kind of a vantage point. I also kind of our family historian. So at this point, I kind of inherited that from my uncle. And so, I mean, I'm always interested in not merely, again, knowing, the birth date and the birth year, the death year and that kind of thing, but knowing something about the lives the people lived in that and why, and something, whatever I can sort of tease out about their personalities and how they interacted with their community. And so I kind of see it from that vantage point. My background is as a policy analyst and as a manager of various programs in both healthcare and in economic development. So that's kind of and I started out in community improvement work in Tacoma. So that's kind of my backup. I had one item that I wanted to raise to everybody as a potential discussion item for next meeting. While I was at Heritage Day, I was approached by Greg Griffith, who's on the Olympia Historical Society and has been involved also with the Bigelow House Museum. I know Greg because, and Greg came up to me partly because I know Greg personally, because he and I worked in the same State Department about 15, 20 years ago. And Greg was on the committee with the City of Olympia that was reviewing historic homes and improvements are being made to them. And we had a 1914 home in Olympia before we moved out to Lacey. So when we were doing restoration, Greg was out was one of the people reviewing the house, telling us what we could and couldn't change. And sometimes suggesting ideas for where to find, resources to make those changes when we could do them. Anyway, what Greg came up to me and it talked about was that the Historical Society in Olympia has been working on a controversy about designating the current KGY broadcast studio, which was put in place in about 1960-61, right in that time period, as a historic site. And they've been in a bit of a fracas with the Port of Olympia over that. He wanted to come out and talk to us and see whether or not there was any interest in supporting their efforts in some fashion. And so I've talked with Jen a little bit about that. And we could either vote to bring that up onto the agenda for the next meeting, or we could just throw that onto the agenda for the next meeting and see if Greg wants to come out and talk. I'm not presuming any stance on either side by our commission, but I thought it might not be bad as a kind of an update on what's going on with KGY. And of course, for those of you who know some about Lacey history, you'll know that KGY was a radio station founded at St. Martin's way back in the 1920s. So it's one of the earliest radio stations in the state of Washington, and has continued to go through now. In fact, they just celebrated their 100th birthday. So, and have been doing that online on the radio here for the last year. So if you're interested, you can either contact me or we can make a quick vote, whatever, and invite Greg to come out and talk to us at the next meeting. And that's, if you're not interested, let us know that too. Any thoughts or comments?
So Jim, I'll just chime in real quick. You don't need a motion to put it on.
Okay, okay,
We would need enough interest from the board to do that.
okay.
So you guys want to just weigh in a little bit unofficially?
And what we would do then is there is an article which we could circulate that was in the Olympian that discusses the controversy. So we're not going into that blind, which I also think is helpful.
So is the ultimate goal to celebrate where they're at in Olympia or celebrate where they were at St. Martin's?
I think what they're trying to do at this point is to designate the house that they're currently broadcasting from as a historic site. I've already chuckled, made a comment to Jen that maybe we could get a plaque out of it at St. Martin's too.
Yeah, and so just to clarify, the city wouldn't be getting involved, but if there's something from a historical commission standpoint that, let's say, first of all, it'd be education about it, right? And having him come to talk, that'd be educational for everybody. And then secondly, if the commission wanted to write a letter of support or something like that, of course, we wouldn't want to get involved in a Port and Olympia Historical Commission issue as the city. So
Yeah, I know because of my time at St. Martin's, they were kind of proud of the fact that it started there. And it was kind of a common lore there.
Yeah, it definitely is a notable piece of Lacey history from that vantage point.
would the rest of the board like to hear about it at an upcoming meeting?
I'd certainly like to know more about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Kim, July?
I would love to hear about it too.
Okay. Well, I'll contact Greg then, and Jen and I will get that on the agenda for this next time around. Okay. Well, that's all I had to say. Jen, I think we're up on your report.
All right. Just one quick item. Actually, I don't know if you all had read in the paper or not, but our city manager, Scott Spence, has accepted a city manager position in Astoria, Oregon. And so he will be leaving here pretty close to the end of the year, this year. He'll be leaving the city of Lacey after 23 years here. I believe he was city manager since 2012. Does that sound right to you, Aaron? Yeah, so we are extremely sad to see him go, but certainly excited about, you know, his next adventure down in Oregon, where he's actually from Oregon. So anyway, just wanted to, that's really all I have. Oh, actually, I did want to pull up the annual report since you had asked me earlier. Sarah, I'm not sure if you were able to grab that.
Yeah, I've got the, I got it pulled up. I sent you the link for it too. It's on the website for the annual report.
Oh, on the website. Do you mind pulling it up? Oh, thank you. Okay.
Here we go.
There we go. So yeah, if you want to just scroll down a bit to the numbers. Yeah, so this report, and we can send you guys the link too, but it kind of tells you what we have in our inventory as far as parks goes. And then there's the tournament and league attendance at the RAC, the community field use, Okay, there you go. So 25,500 people participated in events and programs in 2021.
Wow.
And if you scroll down just a little bit more, so that's more programs. And then here you have the community events. Those are the ones that I was highlighting, the bigger ones. We have those separated out. Looks like 20,500 total attendance at events. And then you can see enrollment for classes. And yeah, this is 2021. So actually our numbers will be significantly down compared to 2022 because of COVID impact still that we had in 2021. So if you were to look at the, say 2019 numbers, those would be a lot higher. So do you want to scroll down just a little bit more? So we have our museum in there, some numbers. We highlight the maintenance at a glance. Education on the maintenance duties. There's lots of great highlights, and we do include museum highlights in there as well. Another page of highlights. Highlight the partnership and the budget, volunteer hours. Then we have a Board of Park Commissioner message. And then we have our Parks and Public Work Directors joint leadership team message as well. So, and the reason we include Public Works is because the Park Maintenance Division is under Public Works Department rather than Parks, Culture, and Recreation. So it's kind of a combined effort for the annual report to give folks a picture of what it takes to really pull off the full Parks, Culture, and Recreation system. So thank you, Sarah, for bringing that up. And we'll send you that link as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've covered the entire agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Any seconds? Oh, looks like Talai. And all in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Any opposed? I think we're good to next month. Thank you all.
Well, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Night.